All right, so welcome to another deep dive, everybody. Today, we're going to be tackling something that I know a lot of you out there are curious about, the state of search engines in 2025, specifically Google versus Bing. We've got a fantastic comparative analysis report that we're going to be digging into. And I think you might be surprised to hear that it's not just a one-sided story of Google just completely dominating the market anymore. There are some really fascinating trends that we're going to be uncovering. Like Bing's actually been steadily rising, and the growing role of AI in all this.
Yes, right. And understanding these trends can really help you make better choices about which search engine is best for your needs, your specific needs. We're going to
Yeah.
be diving into things like privacy and features, the kind of stuff that really affects you when you go online.
Absolutely. So let's get started with the elephant in the room. As of January 2025, Google holds a massive 89.62% of the market share. That's like a billion users every day. But here's the thing, Bing isn't just, barely surviving, it's actually thriving. It's jumped to almost 4% in 2025. That's a pretty significant increase from just over 2% in early 2023. Why is that such a big deal?
Well, you got to remember that for years and years, Google has just been the king, the
Yeah.
undisputed king of search. So this rise in Bing's popularity could mean, there's a shift happening. Maybe user preferences are changing, or at least, people are becoming more willing to check out other options. I mean, part of the reason for Bing's growth is definitely because it's, integrated with all these other Microsoft products and, of course, the strategic investments that they've been making.
So even though Google stay on top, things are definitely shifting. But let's go a little deeper here. I mean, it's one thing to look at those numbers, but it's another to understand how these search engines actually work, right? What's going on behind the scenes with their algorithms and how they decide what to rank and all that.
Well, it's a bit like a secret recipe,
Yeah.
Both Google and Bing, they both want to give you the most relevant results when you search for something, but they get there in very different ways. Google's algorithms, as you probably know, they're famous for being super complex,
Hmm.
using machine learning and natural language processing, NLP, to try to really get what you mean, not
Yeah.
just the words you type.
So it's not just about matching words anymore. It's like figuring out the intent. Sounds sounds pretty advanced.
Oh, it is. Google's put a lot of time and money into making those algorithms more and more sophisticated. Think about all those updates they've made over the years. Panda, Penguin, Hummingbird. Those weren't just like, little tweaks. Panda, for example, was all about cracking down on sites with low-quality content, and that had a huge ripple effect on like how websites are actually designed and written. Everyone had to step up their game and start putting out really good content.
So Google is constantly refining how it decides, what's good content and what's relevant. What about Bing? What are they doing?
Well, Bing, they use machine learning too,
Hmm.
but they haven't gone quite as far as Google has. They still depend a lot on kind of more traditional things like keywords, backlinks, how authoritative the website is. You could almost think of it like, Google's the detective that's always coming up with new forensic techniques,
Exactly.
while Bing is still using, more traditional methods like fingerprints and eyewitness accounts.
Okay, so they're both trying to solve the same mystery, but they've got different tools and approaches. What does that actually mean for us, though, as the users? How does all that play out in terms of the features we see and what it's actually like to use each search engine?
Yeah, that's a really good question. When you start to use Google and Bing, you really see how those different philosophies play out in the features they offer and how they show you information.
Right, so we're going from like the behind the scenes algorithm stuff to what you actually see and use as a person.
Exactly. So Google, with their clean, minimalist design, they've always been about getting you the information you need as fast as possible. And they've pioneered all kinds of features, like the knowledge graph. Have you ever noticed those boxes that pop up sometimes at the top of the search results? They give you like instant info about a person or a place or a
Oh,
thing.
yeah, yeah, all the time. It's like getting a quick summary without having to click on anything.
Exactly. That's the knowledge graph. And then there's those featured snippets too. Google's pulling the most relevant part of a web page and just putting it right there at the top. Saves you from clicking through a bunch of links.
It's almost like they're reading your mind, giving you what you want before you even know you need it. But Bing isn't just sitting around, right? They've got their own tricks up their sleeve.
Oh, absolutely. Bing has put a lot of effort into making their search engine really, really visually appealing. Their homepage, it's always changing. Those dynamic images, often stunning photography, like breathtaking landscapes and interesting events from around the world. It's really a standout feature for them.
I have to admit, sometimes I find myself going to Bing just to see what the image of the day is. It does add a kind of artistry to the whole experience. And then there's that whole Microsoft Rewards thing too, right?
That's right. Bing is trying to, well, they want to encourage people to switch over, obviously, so they're giving you points just for using it, which you can then turn into, like gift cards and other prizes.
It's pretty good incentive, gotta say. Plus they have those, what are they called? Interactive video previews.
Yeah. If you hover your mouse over a video result, you get that little sneak peek of what it's about.
Yeah,
It's a small touch, but it can be pretty handy.
definitely. So we've got Google, the minimalist information powerhouse, and Bing, with its focus on visuals and rewards. But there's this other big factor we haven't really talked about yet, and it's something that I think more and more people are becoming aware of: data privacy. I mean, we can't talk about search engines without getting into, how they're using our information.
Absolutely. This is where things get really interesting. See, both Google and Bing, they collect user data. There's no getting around that. They use it to, personalize your results, make their algorithms better, and of course, target you with ads.
But there are some key differences in how they go about it, right?
Right? Google is very upfront about what they're collecting. Their privacy policy, it's very detailed. They lay it all out there, which could be a little overwhelming, honestly.
Okay.
But at least you know what's happening with your information.
Whereas Bing's policy is, it's a little more vague. They really stress, user control and data security. But they don't go into as much detail as Google does.
And this has become a big part of their marketing strategies, actually.
Mm.
Google's had some criticism over the years for collecting so much data, while Bing is trying to position itself as, the more privacy-conscious option.
Which makes sense, given how much people are worried about online privacy these days. But it is important to remember that both search engines do give you some control over your data.
Hmm.
You can go into your settings and, adjust what they're tracking and how they can use your information.
Exactly. It really is worth taking a few minutes to go in and explore those privacy settings. It can make a big difference in how your data gets used.
So it's not as simple as just picking, the search engine with the best features or the coolest look. You also have to think about privacy, how comfortable you are with how they're handling your data.
For sure. It's about finding that balance
Mm.
that works for you. But let's shift gears a bit and talk about what's coming next. What are the trends that are going to shape how we search for information, in 2025 and beyond?
Well, one thing's for sure, AI is going to be huge. And both Google and Bing are really pushing things forward in that area.
Yeah. AI and natural language processing. They're already changing things so much. Google, for example, they launched this thing called the Search Generative Experience, SGE, and the goal is to make search way more conversational. So instead of just getting a list of links when you ask a question, imagine you get a really detailed response, almost like you're talking to, a really knowledgeable friend.
That's amazing. So we're going beyond just like keywords and links to something much more interactive.
Exactly. And Bing is right there with them, developing their own AI-powered features. They've got this thing called Copilot, which acts like a kind of virtual assistant to help you search. It gives you suggestions, helps you narrow things down.
So both companies are really investing in making search smarter, more personalized, more intuitive. Sounds like the future of search is going to be pretty wild.
It really does. And all this competition between Google and Bing, it's actually a good thing for us, the users, because it means they're constantly trying to outdo each other, which leads to all kinds of cool innovations.
So as we look ahead, one thing is certain. The fight for search supremacy isn't over. But we're not just watching from the sidelines. We get to choose which search engines we want to use. We get to decide what aligns with our values and our needs. So I think as we're wrapping up our deep dive into Google and Bing, it's clear that that the search world it's a lot more dynamic than it might seem at first. Google's been on top for so long, but Bing is really making a real effort to catch up.
It is interesting how Bing has really used their strengths, that visual stuff on the homepage, the rewards program. It's working for them. And of course, both companies are, they're looking ahead to the future.
Hmm.
AI, natural language processing, it's going to be pretty revolutionary.
I think it's good for everyone that they're competing like this. I mean, ultimately, it's us, the users, that benefit from all this innovation. We get to choose the search engine that works best for us.
Speaking of choosing, what really stood out to you today from all the stuff we talked about? Market share, algorithms, the different features, that whole privacy thing.
For me, I guess the biggest takeaway is that it's not just a simple A or B choice anymore, Google or Bing. It's about understanding what makes each one different, how they work, what's important to them. You got to make your decision based on, your own values and what you need from a search engine. Like, do you want speed, efficiency, or are you more drawn to, the visual stuff, the rewards? How much do you care about privacy? Are you okay with giving up some data to get those personalized results? It's a
Yeah.
lot to think about.
Yeah, exactly. There's no right answer. The best search engine for you is the one that fits with your own needs, your own priorities. And the best part is you get to choose.
So before we go, I really do encourage everyone listening to go check out both Google and Bing, see what they're all about, play around with the features, look at those privacy settings, just see what feels like a better fit because searching for information, it's a personal thing.
And remember, it's all constantly changing. New stuff is coming out all the time. So keep an eye out and don't be afraid to try new things.
That's right. Stay curious, everybody. Keep exploring. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the world of search. And until next time, happy search.